Good morning, and welcome to another ironic introduction to another video. Today, Kabam put out these Awakening Gem bundles, and unfortunately these are not free-to-play friendly. When I started playing this game and this bundle was available to me like really early on, the first thing I did was look up how free-to-play accessible they are, and I found that they're really not. It's pretty much like July 4th and Cyber Monday, maybe like the occasional deal outside of that, or like a targeted deal outside of that, but really these are like a whale draw bundle, which sucks for free-to-play players, but unfortunately that's just a reality of this game, is that a large population of the player base really does spend money, at least large enough to justify isolating things like this. So that being said, compared to last time, which I did buy both of these bundles last time, my account was a lot younger, at least roster based, and so I held these at a higher value. They still have a lot of value, but the more developed your roster becomes, the less these have as far as value is concerned, or kind of mixed based, just because like 5 stars take a longer time to build up, so even if you have like a developed roster there, you might not have your 5 stars awakened just because of how long it takes to get them. But that being said, compared to last time, I believe this 4-star awakening bundle is a better deal, just because last time I believe you got 26 stones up front as well as 36 stones over the course of the entire month, and then you did get these you did get the attack boost. I think you actually got greater health boosts with this, but I don't value the boost as highly as other players, just because I don't run the higher Alliance Square content, so I don't feel like I need them yet. But in addition to the 20 plus the 30 over the course of the month, you do see these +5 +5s, as well as these the like 4-star, the +5 class-based ones. So I really do think you're getting an additional 30 here. It might be less. I don't have like the deal from last time pulled up, but this is still overall a good deal. I think Awakening Gems isolated are overrated. Because a lot of times when you awaken your champion, you also want to raise their sig value, but also when you dupe a champion, you get that +26 stone start. But that's why they bundle these deals with 6 stones, because it goes from being just an isolated awakening gem to essentially a dupe without the ISO. So when it's a dupe without the ISO, you can think of it as essentially picking a champion. Right, like this is the form of spend $30 to pick a champion, and so in that regard, if you have a 4-star that you want to awaken, that's worth awakening, this $30 deal is just exponentially better. Like I used my previous one on Blade, because I would make the argument that Blade needs to be awakened in order to be usable. He's still very good without, but really it's that awakening ability that makes him so strong. But just do be careful that if you're going to take this awakening gem, that you really think about the awakened ability of the champion that you're using it on. A lot of people will say, okay, I really like this champion, this is the champion I play, and then they'll awaken them just to find out that the awakening ability might not do what they think it does, or might not boost them the way they want it to, because there's a lot of champions that don't need to be awakened in order to be good. Examples are like Ghost or Stark Spidey. Both of those champions, their awakened abilities make them much better. Like I'm not trying to deny that those awakened abilities are very good, but like I could have used my generic on Ghost and I didn't, because she's still good without her awakened ability. And same for Stark Spidey, his awakened ability is very good, but you don't need it in order to use him. So sometimes it's better to just pull that and use it on someone else, like Omega Red, who is arguably only good with his awakened ability activated. So it's just something to keep in mind. As for these 5-star ones, I do believe for the same standard, these actually look like the same deal. So I don't think they upgraded this deal at all, but that's okay. It was already a good deal as is, just because of the less champions you have in your pool, the better value that crystal is. And even though this is a class-based one, it still holds a lot of value for most of the community, and that's why they can keep it at a class 1 and kind of get away with it. So if you have a 4-star you want to awaken, this is a solid deal for $30. It's essentially saying $30 for pick a 4-star. And if you have $70 and want to buy this 5-star one, I think that the consideration you need to take into play is that this is an RNG chance. So if you're fishing for a specific class, that can be very frustrating as you are only running a 1 in 6 chance that way. So that's about a 16% chance if you're fishing for one. So if you buy this, you really want to take in consideration, like, do you have a target for everything? Because the last thing you want to do is spend $70 and just be disappointed, because you might just be better off waiting around for something else, or using those units to clear for like a generic, or honestly just saying it wasn't worth it. I would say if you have 4 out of the 6 classes that you would use an Awakening Gem on, that this deal is worth it, because you can always hold on to the other one and hope that a champion comes out that you would use it on, unfortunate though that may be. So at this point, like, that's just the generic side of these bundles. But as a player who runs Suicide Masteries, this is very different for me. These bundles have a completely different value because of your pool, your play pool being much smaller. And I'm at a point where I really don't want to deviate from my Suicide Masteries for as long as possible, just because I know I'll be doing a lot of arena grinding, rebuilding my units up, etc., especially over the course of this next month. So I want to pull up really quick here. This is the tier list, my working tier list for best champions to rank up for Suicide Masteries. And I'm actually going to be adding champions to this list. I want to add Phoenix, X23, Magic, Venom the Duck, maybe Venom, I need to look into him, Angela, Scarlet Witch, and Sabretooth. Scarlet Witch I recognize is only a 4-star. But Magic would add it to this list. She like mitigates recoil very well. Phoenix has like quest by quest life regeneration in the form of like her revival. I believe that's in her awakened ability too. So that being said, when I look at this from a Suicide Mastery position, as someone who doesn't have any real awakened 5-stars except for my vision, which I don't really count just because that was a whale draw. That was a whale bait, really. When I look at this, I would say for Suicide Mastery players, for those of you who don't have like a 5-star roster buildup, we do have, a spectrum of champions for all the classes. And then it's really just a matter of looking at the roster and then thinking, what do you already have and what do you already have awakened? So like champions that I think, looking at this list that are worth still awakening, and so I'll probably have to go through and update this list and put these notes in, but like you got Medusa, Hyperion, Hulk Ragnarok, Diablo maybe. I'm still working to see if he's even worth spending the resources on, because I don't think he is, besides the fact that I just think he's fun to play. So just here you hit 2 of the classes. Ghost, Omega Red, these 2 benefit highly from it, but if you have Attack Awakening Gem, I would probably use it on like Darkhawk, or maybe probably on Darkhawk or maybe Vision, or probably your Iron Man Infinity War, because these are just higher values, as Ghost doesn't need it, again I've said, unless you just really love Ghost. Like I really love my Ghost, and so I'm thinking about awakening her with a 4-star generic, just because I think she's really fun to play and I want to boost her as much as I can for Alliance War. Omega Red, who it's almost mandatory. Iceman, which has good value for it. Luke Cage brings you into the science realm, and then we're just missing skill at this point, I believe, where you've got Aegon, Ronan, who I believe it's mandatory, and Blade. So in that manner, the 5-star Awakening Gem, if you don't have any of these champions awakened, actually still has value across the board, and it is just a matter of a waiting game. But as you start to awaken your 5-stars and you start to, push past these deals regardless, I would say these hold less and less value. So do be mindful of that. So that's it. I mean, I think that these deals, right, from this point on will always be like this. So hopefully after this video, I do intend to put a lot less commentary on these. I apologize for this one being longer. I believe this is my first time reviewing the Awakening Gems. But I stand by. If you have $30 to put on the game and you have 4-stars, this is probably one of the best ways to essentially pick a 4-star. And if you have $70 to put on the game and you know that you can get, I think if you know for a fact you have a target for every single class with a 5-star. This one is a really good long-term investment. But if you the more and more targeted your pool, I think the less and less value this has. And unfortunately, I can't dictate whether or not this has value for you if you're a more veteran player. But I can say that the less of a veteran player you are, the more values this has. If you have a specific roster in mind, or champions you're fishing for, or you want to just like talk over whether or not this deal is valuable for you over the next 21 hours, I'd be happy to talk to you about it. Feel free to reach out to me in the comments and tag me. I'll try to be more mindful today, and I'm a little more open to like passing out my line app information as I find that I use it more and more. Previously, I didn't really want to share it just because I never used it, but now I find myself actively involved on it, so I'm a little more open to using it. The reason I didn't want to pass it out before was because if I'm not on a messaging service, I don't want people to like be waiting 6 days on me for a message, and then I'm like, oh, I forgot that I have this app for messaging. But now I actually log in every day, so I feel that I'm actually more accessible on it. But that said, these are the Awakening Gem bundles. I don't think anyone ever doubts their value, but still, I wanted to put my 2 cents in, mostly about that Suicide Mastery part, because that's what I'll be using to justify my purchase of at least this 5-star one, and I will talk to you later.